Okay, so I just barely landed in Ontario Airport, got upgraded to first class, had a nice nap, and enjoying my flight. A little bit of a kink in my neck, but not a big deal. Probably the first or second person off the plane because I was sitting up towards the front anyway, and other people had to grab their checked bags. So I'm getting off the plane, and there's two police officers standing at the door, and they come up to me and grab me by the arms and say, what did they say? I don't even know. They said, "Don't worry, this is just procedure. Come with us," kind of thing. And I was like, okay. So I figured they were doing like a random security check, but in my mind I was thinking probably not random at all, probably just they have some sort of criteria that I met that fell into. But anyways, so just going along with it, and grabbed me by the arms while the whole airport's looking at me, and I was like, this is embarrassing. They're like, yeah, we know, but it's just procedure, don't worry, you're not in trouble or anything. So again, I'm just thinking they're probably going to search my bags, pull me off to the side, and then let me go. And I get over to this area, and they ask me to set down my bags, and I'm being compliant, but I'm kind of at the same time being like, what is this about? Like, what's going on? And they're giving me the attitude of like, shut up, don't ask questions, just do what we say. And so I go over, they're like, set your bag down there, and then I go to set it on the floor. They're like, no, set it on the chair. So I set it on the chair. I was like, it has a drink in it, so if it falls off the chair, then it's gonna spill. So I had some Cafe Rio in as well. Anyways, so I set down my bags and tell me to face the wall with my hands behind my head, and I thought he said behind my back, so I put him behind my back, and he's like, no, behind your head. I'm like, oh, okay. So I put him behind my head and facing the wall, and they start to grab they have handcuffs in their hands, they have like chains, like a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm just like, this is a bit much, this is like pretty intense for just searching my bags. So I'm thinking in my mind, and they start to put handcuffs, or they start to put chains around my waist. They proceed to do that, and one of the officers says to the other, first I'd asked, like, I just continually was asking questions like, what is this about, kind of stuff, and their response was, oh, you're not in trouble, this is just procedure. Like, that was the correspondence, and it wasn't really getting any kind of real information from them. And anyways, so one of the officers says to the other, so what are we going to do with him now? And then the other officer says, the bigger, darker officer says, as soon as we find a place for him to live, we'll be able to take him there and let him go there. And I was like, wait, you're talking about me finding me a place to live? And they're like, yeah, as soon as we find you a place to live, or something like that, or we'll let you go. And I was like, you must have the wrong person, because, like, you have to have the wrong person. And they're like, oh, what's your name? And I was like, Skyler Baird. So the darker, Hispanic, bigger officer that probably was the senior officer, he starts to panic, and he's like, as he's like running back to the gate in his little panic, he yells back to the other officer, check his ID and make sure. And the other officer kind of looks at me, he's like, do you have ID? And I pull it out, and then he's like, okay, yep, that's you. And so he undoes the handcuffs and lets me go. He's like, sorry, you really look like the other guy we're supposed to be arresting. And I was just kind of like in awe. And as I walk back, grab my stuff together, walk back towards the gate where I was, there's a crowd of people that have like been watching me the whole time, and I go to throw my stuff in the garbage can, and one of the ladies is like, mistaken identity? And I was like, yeah. And I wanted to say, yeah, that's swear my head off because I was pissed, but I didn't. I restrained myself. It was self-control stuff. Yeah, that's great. Anyways, so I keep walking, and I go down and talk to a TSA guy, and I asked him if they were his officers. I said, are these part of your people? And he's like, yeah, I think so. I was like, okay, and I told him the story, and he's like, oh, well, if you want to talk to an advisor or something, you can go down there and talk to him. And so I see another police officer that was kind of hanging off to the side in case their would-be arrestee started running. And I just tell him, and he gave me some information, and I went back to the officers, and the younger one was like, yeah, we really apologize, sorry about that. And then the older one was kind of like, I looked at his name tag, and he was just kind of like, what do you need? What do you need? And I was visibly like upset. I was like telling him like, I was just getting your name and stuff. He's like, well, let's go over here. And so we talk off to the side, and he was very polite about it. He was saying, do you want my business card and my supervisor's number, which was good, which was respectable. And he was just like, yeah, I was just making a mistaken identity. And I was like, well, how can you just go based off of how someone looks? And he's like, well, you looked a lot like him, and that's all we had to go on, or something. And, which was no compliment to me, because I saw the kid, and his teeth were half rotted, and he was skinny, and looked like, not being rude, but he looked like he had slept underneath a dumpster for the last week, and I don't know, maybe I look like that. But anyways, so he's like, when we asked you, the other officer asked you when you got off the plane if you were Devin, and you said yes, probably just because you were nervous. I was like, no, he didn't. Probably just the nervous factor. I was like, nope, he never asked me anything. He just grabbed my arm and started walking me to the other side. Yeah, so called the number he gave me for his supervisor, and the person there was like, oh, they're at a different department, let me give you their number. So it was like a completely different place from the number that he specifically wrote down for his advisor. So luckily that receptionist knew who she was. But anyways, yeah, I called her and went to voicemail, and have yet to receive any call back or anything. And I don't even know what there is to do or what I should do, but it was really embarrassing. And it's a flight that I do every other week. There's people there that at the airport and things that I see all the time, and yeah, it was scary and embarrassing just to think that you can get arrested just based on how you look. And if I hadn't have said anything, or if I hadn't have overheard them asking that question, like, I would be in a police cruiser right now going somewhere in downtown California, downtown Riverside, but anyways, good news, I got to my own car and I'm driving to work. That's my story of the day.